G'day everyone, it's Murray Edwards here. So on this video today, we're going to be going over Facebook targeting. So as most of you know, one of the hardest things can be sometimes is you have a product or you start a business, or depending on where you're at, and you basically don't know what to target and how to effectively find buying audiences that will actually buy your stuff, and hopefully you can make a profit. So before we go into this, I want to basically give you an overrun, and the reason I'm doing this demonstration, I'm going to try and make it seem very understandable so that any of you watching it can basically copy. Like when I say copy, I mean some of the interests that I use personally. I've spent thousands and thousands and thousands to gather the information on testing. So sometimes I've spent thousands on testing just to find which audiences are buying audience and stuff like that. So I'm going to be sharing that with you so that hopefully you can go off now in your business and conquer these audiences as well. So it doesn't guarantee that it's going to sell when you find the right audience. You need a fit. So when I say a fit, as most of you already know, if you don't already know, it means an offer or a product to market fit. Okay. So if you have either one of those off, you won't be able to sell what you're trying to sell, or if you do try and sell it, you won't be able to make it, profitable. Okay. So remember, if you simplify what we're trying to look at here, okay, remove all the technical garbage out of your head and all these different confusions around Facebook advertising. Just remember this. Product to audience match is extremely important, okay? Everything else isn't quite as important. Once you get those two working properly, okay, that's the main thing, because once you've got a profitable audience and product matched to that audience, it becomes a lot easier to scale. If you don't have the right audience, your chances of profitability are low. Your chance of sales are a lot lower. So let's get into it here, and I'm going to teach you guys. Doesn't matter if you're advanced or you're a beginner or intermediate levels. I can guarantee you, I'm going to show you some things here that you probably haven't done before, or interests that you haven't used before. Okay. So to get started, what I like to do is this. Okay. Let's call it create campaign. Okay, so I like to start on conversions. I'm going to go into on another video about PPE and what that does, but let's call this conversion tests. And if you already know how to target pretty well, don't skip this video. Don't think that, this is just another targeting video. I'm telling you, I've spent thousands and thousands and thousands just on testing some of these audiences to find the right, which ones work best, and I'm sharing them with you. So even if your niche is different, that's okay, because if you have a general store one day or you decide to sell something different, some of these audiences are going to help you out. Okay. So this is a test ad account. This is a spare one, my partner's, that doesn't really get used. So we're going to use this. As you can see, it hasn't had any action at all, but we're just using this ad account as a demonstration, okay, to teach you. So before we go into targeting, I want to talk to you a little bit about countries. Now, a lot of people are stuck in this motion that, you should only target the United States, or you should only target Canada because you're from Canada. What I like to do is this. If I'm selling international, right, so drop shipping or private label, if it's an internationally sold product, I like to start with the big five, okay, plus Netherlands. So this is what I like to do. Australia. And you'll be surprised, because different products, I'm sure that you've probably noticed if you're into this, a lot of things will sell great in, let's say, Canada, okay, and then they won't sell good in the UK, or they'll sell well in the UK and they won't sell well in Australia or Canada. So you've really got to test individually, and a lot of countries that you wouldn't suspect are great countries are very, very profitable countries sometimes, depending on the product, the season in that country and whatnot. So I like to call these the big five. Okay, so you've got New Zealand, United Kingdom, Australia, Canada, United States. That's your big five. Now, I'll show you another little trick. This is like the country that not many Not as many people target the Netherlands, but believe me, the Netherlands is really can be a very profitable country. The CPM, so um, the cost per impression or the cost per 1,000 impressions can be substantially lower in the Netherlands. Now, the trick is this. When you target Germany and the Netherlands and everything else, select English speaking, okay? Because the chances are you're going to be your copywriting, your ads are going to be in English. Now, if you're advertising to Dutch people that don't speak English, that if I want to ask you a quick question, have you ever bought something online and you can't even read the language it's written in? Probably not, right? 99% of people won't buy. If you don't understand Chinese, you're not gonna buy something that's written in Mandarin, okay? If you're English, so keep in mind, select English, English all. So that and not just it won't just do that in the Netherlands, but it means that anywhere in the world you're advertising, it'll only show to people that can actually read the text in your ads and website, okay? So what I like to do testing is I'll run it broad, so 1865. If you haven't sold a product before, so if you're selling, let's say, a woman's, a makeup brush cleaner or a hair dryer, or it could be a fitness product like a men's abs product or something, for example, you still, unless you have sold in the niche before or sold the product and you know exactly which age group buys it, okay, you should keep it open to get data. So I like to do 18 to 65. If it's a product that has young person's appeal, I'll even go 16 or 17. Okay, but for this one, we'll go 18. Now, you don't want, remember this, before we go any further into the interest targeting, I want to just explain something. You don't want to leave your ads like this forever. Okay, the point of this is once you begin to get sales, and I'm going to teach you later in this video, you need to read your data and see which age groups are buying. So most of you listening may already know this, and that's cool, but just I want to really imprint that in your mind that if 30 to 40-year-olds, let's say that the 30 to 40-year-olds are giving you 90% of your profitable sales, you shouldn't be advertising to anyone else, okay? You should be putting all your impressions towards the most profitable ages in that 10 to 15 age bracket. And then that starts to scale, then you could probably start different campaigns targeting the less profitable ages. If it's profitable, leave them running. But you ultimately want to be showing your impressions to the gold. So once you find the gold, you want to keep digging there. You don't want to try and broaden out. So the biggest problem people have, and this is a principle that can be taught to you, you can use this principle anywhere in your life, anywhere from your business to your friendships, to your relationship, to where you live, to what you do with your life, your health. One of the most common habits that we all have, I'm sure that you've experienced this too. Once we get success with something, or once we win somebody over or win something over, it's a natural thing in our DNA to want to keep exploring something else. So a lot of people build a successful e-commerce business, for example, right? And then within 3 to 6 months, they start another one, okay? Or they try and, start a different niche, or they try and sell something different. And what happens is like that's easy to do that. That's a human it's a natural human instinct. And it's the same as partners. A lot of people can't stay with a partner. They get a partner for 3 months, they move on because they've won it over and they move on. So it's much harder to stay committed. And the reason I'm talking about this principle is in your business, you're going to be very, very, very tempted when something starts working. You're going to be tempted to start trying different things like starting other businesses or and all of this. But once you find what works, once you find a niche or an audience, like let's say dogs or cats or fishing or whatever, once you find something that works, right, keep doing it. Do not take your focus off that. Keep doing that. Put 90% of your focus on what's working and keep repeating that process to make more money in sales. And then only use a small part of your energy on exploring other avenues, like exploring other products, etc. Does that make sense? Because once you dig up and once you find the gold, keep getting it. Don't move on to the next thing trying to look for something else. It's a really big mistake. So that comes into the same with your business. Once you find countries and targeting audiences and age groups that work, keep pounding them, okay? And then use about 10% of your energy to test other things on the side, but keep that momentum on the goal going, on the gold mine you struck. So the gold mine, what I mean by that is the audience. So you might sell dogs or cats or fishing or camping, whatever makes you the money, and you start getting real success there, keep focusing on that. Okay, so I want to teach you something here about targeting. So a lot of people don't understand how targeting works because in the Facebook groups, there's so much noise. People are saying, oh, I use no interest targeting and broad works better. And then some people say narrow works better. And I've got a this and that. Listen to me. Before you can jump to any conclusions, you need to understand which level you are at. Okay? If you haven't had over 100 sales, or you've had, only a few sales, you probably need to be more targeted. Okay? Your Facebook pixel, your Facebook ad account doesn't have a huge amount of data on what your buyers look like. It hasn't had enough transactions. Once you have enough transactions and sales in your ad account and pixel, etc., you can basically have no targeting, like have no interest targeting, and Facebook will do the work for you. But understand, unless you've had 1,000 or 2,000 or 4,000 sales, that's probably not going to work. So when someone says, I don't use interest targeting, I just do broad, the chances are they've probably had 1,000 to 5,000 plus in sales. That's 1,000 customers plus. Okay, so understand the different levels. If you're below 100 sales, you need to really take your targeting serious. So remember that. Don't run off what all the idiots in Facebook groups say. Run off data, okay, and run off logic. Logic says you need to target relatively specific to get the first sales and data. Once you begin getting sales and data, you can make lookalike audiences, etc. And plus, then you can test broader audiences because Facebook's optimized and the pixel and knows what age and what gender and what interests the people are that buy your product. Does it make sense? So understand that. Don't confuse it. Just understand which level. So I want to teach you something here, and this is called flex targeting. So let's just say that you're selling in the beauty niche, okay? Let's do this beauty. This is what I like to call a broad interest. So beauty, as a broad interest, as you can see, it's absolutely massive, 895 million. It's huge, okay? So if you're starting off with a new beauty product or something like that, you don't want to just use beauty. So you want to use flex targeting because as you can see with beauty, I'll just cancel that for a second. I'm going to teach you something here. Something to keep in mind. So beauty is a broad word. Look at all the different interests related to beauty. It's going to target pretty much any word that has some form of beauty, any interest that has the word beauty in it. Okay, it's very broad, all right? And that's why you need to use flex targeting. Now, if you've already done flex targeting before, I'm going to go over this again, so you probably already know what's going on, but I'm still going to teach you something that most of you probably don't know. So beauty, and then I might go, let's think, so when you're targeting, you need to think of this. You need to find the passionate people within that demographic, within that interest group, okay? So an example of this is right, who is a more passionate person? A person who owns a Shopify business and spends thousands on Facebook a month and has an actual business, is a real entrepreneur or something, right? Or a person who goes to uni, right, and just likes Gary Vaynerchuk on Facebook for his motivational videos, or they like Yahoo Finance for the business articles. Who is a more passionate person? Okay, and what that means is the more passionate person, that's a person who's in the trenches and they're wholeheartedly already in business and they're ready to, usually more inclined to invest in their business. The other people are fence sitters. They're studying it, they're reading about it. So that same terminology translates into anything. So beauty can be a very broad interest, right? But then all of a sudden I'm going to try and test something here. Think about who's a really, really passionate beauty person. I would say people who watch makeup tutorials. Let's see if there's them. Makeup lessons. Okay, so these are people. Let's see if tutorials comes up. No. Oh, that's okay. We'll just look up for something else. Makeup. All right, so makeup lessons. So this could be pages that actually teach people how to use makeup to make themselves look better. So if you think about it, these aren't people just like Beauty and the Beast, as an example. These could be people that are like hardcore into makeup. They're on YouTube watching tutorial videos. They're on Facebook watching them, trying to learn how to make themselves look better. That's what you determine as a passionate buyer, not just a broad interest. So these are the equivalent of probably, the person who owns a Shopify business and is in the trenches as a business owner, as opposed to a person who's at university trying to get a job in business. Does that make sense? So then you can narrow it even further. Now, I don't recommend narrowing too far, because sometimes the cost can be too high. But this is just examples, right? You probably have to test a lot of different things with this. But let's try this. Beauty blog. See what comes up. Beauty blog. No. Okay. So you can even get people that work as so that's people. Is that right? Bear with me 1 second, guys. So people who have interest in pages related to beauty salons. So that's like, shops where people go to get their makeup done, etc. So once again, we're narrowing it down here, and you're going to go from people who just like anything related to beauty on Facebook to people who are actually interested in lessons. So they're enthusiasts, they're passionate about it, and then people that actually like and follow pages on Facebook that are beauty salons. So once again, I can't guarantee you this targeting would work perfect if you're going to sell in the beauty niche, but I've sold to some of these interests before, and I can tell you they work, especially this one. When you have a more seasoned pixel, the broad beauty interest can work very well with basically any beauty product if it sells well. Okay, so now we're down to 3.1 million people. All right. Now, if you want to narrow further and find more buyers, I'm going to show you something here. So what I like to use is engaged shoppers. So what that means is engaged shoppers is basically, right, I'm going to let you read it yourself. Not many people use this either. So it's people who have clicked on the call to action button, shop now, okay, in the past. It's not showing me, 1 second. In the past week, yeah, I thought so. So the reason I use this is if people don't click on any ads on Facebook, so think about this. If this audience, if these people, they never click on ads, they never click on learn more, shop now ads, they don't engage with ads, you probably don't want to show your ad to them. Why? Because if they've been using Facebook for a week, now most people use Facebook for between an hour and 6 hours a day. If people are seeing ads every single day, like hundreds of them a day, and they don't click any, what's the chances of them clicking yours? Very low, right? So engaged shoppers make sure that your ad only will show to people who have clicked on ads in the past week. Okay, so that means they're receptive to ads. It actually ads work on them, interest them. So once again, this doesn't always work. Some niches it won't work. I don't know why. Every targeting is different, every niche, whatever. But believe me, this can work really well. So engaged shoppers, sometimes I just do this. So remove this. All right, and it can be in any niche, right? It can be fitness, can be whatever. Sometimes I will just do beauty, narrow down and engage shoppers. So anyone who's into beauty, and also they click on beauty ads. So they clicked on ads in the last week. Okay, that's an example. Now I'm going to show you more interest so that you can get a bit more examples. And plus, if you want to sell in these niches, feel free to. I don't own them. I'm not going to be offended if you take my targetings, my interests. That's fine. So this is a good one that I've used. All right. So back to the principle of passionate people. So before we go into the fitness examples, I want you to think to yourself for a second. Who's the most passionate people in fitness? All right. And now when you target, I'm going to teach you something right now. And type in fitness. Okay. So physical fitness is like a broad interest. So it means people, they might like soccer, they might like football, they might like, the brand Adidas, they might like Nike. It's very broad. Like it's broad. Okay. Now, those people can be people that just sit at home and wear Nike clothes every day and they watch soccer. They don't engage in any form of fitness. So a lot of people dress in fitness clothes and they sit on the couch. They don't actually do anything. So that can still work. Okay, don't get me wrong, but I want to teach you a small little detail that I've split tested and with some of my fitness products, and it made a big difference. Now, I want to teach you this. Hang on one second. Now, physical exercise. So what's the difference between these two? Physical fitness is, like I said, it's probably people that are, some of them are into the gym and stuff, but it's broad. And then you've got physical exercise. These are people that are more likely to engage in actual exercise. So they're people that go to the gym. Look, it doesn't make a massive difference, but it can make, in some of my tests, a big difference. So my theory on this is this. These are people that don't just like sport. They actually do the exercise. They play sport. They go to the gym. They go for runs on the weekend with their dog. They walk to the park to do chin-ups, whatever else. Now, they can work better because they probably are more passionate. So if you're a more passionate fitness person, you will actually do the work as opposed to just sitting at home watching soccer. So physical fitness for me has been a very good interest, targeting fitness, okay? Now, you can narrow further, once again, depending on where your pixel and your ad account is at. Don't overcomplicate it. But if you have a ton of sales, you can probably use a broad target. If you don't have a ton of sales, don't have 1,000 plus, 500,000 plus customers, I would probably do this. So if you're trying to sell like a that new abs product that compulses your pulses your abs and helps whatever else, this is probably how I would sell it. Something like this: physical exercise, and then I might go muscle and fitness. Okay, so people that are into the gym as well, so they're into exercise plus they're into building muscle. So does that make sense? And then I would narrow further, and then I'd probably go bodybuilding. Okay. So once again, this is an example, guys. I can't guarantee this is going to work for you, but I can guarantee if you have the right products, this is probably going to help a ton. I've spent thousands in tests to figure this out, so I hope you appreciate it. It's taken a long time. I've been doing this for years. So I would probably go to there. So once again, we've got physical exercise, people that like actually engaging in exercise outdoors, muscle and fitness, people that actually have showed interest in their bodies and building muscle, and then also bodybuilding, which is another form of muscle and fitness, a bit more passionate. And then I could narrow further, engage shoppers. Now, not only have we weeded through all the broadness of these fitness interests, we've narrowed it down to people that they love muscle, they love fitness, they love exercise, and now they also love ads. They click on ads. So we're only showing our ads to ad clickers. Now this can be, don't get me wrong, this can be more expensive, but it can be quality. And what you need to, this is very important, I want you to remember this. Money in versus money out is king, okay? If you have a cheap audience and you're getting cheap clicks, but you're getting crap sales, that's a loser material, okay? Don't focus on that. You need to focus on dollar in versus dollar out. So if you're putting in $10 and getting back 20, you're doing well. If you're putting 100 and getting back 200, you're doing okay. Does that make sense? Or you're doing 1,000 in, you're getting 2,000 back, that's okay. Any more, that even better. But if you're putting in 1,000 and getting back 1,300, but you're getting heaps of cheap traffic, that sucks. Well, what's the point? All that matters is the ratio of how much you're spending to you getting back. So where am I going with this? You need to ask yourself, would you rather get cheaper traffic that sells crap and you get hardly any sales, or spend a bit more on the traffic and then make more sales? If whatever ratio is giving you a better return, so better ROI or ROAs, so return on ad spend, that's what you use. So once again, aim for the more passionate people. You can narrow down to make sure you're getting people that are into muscle and bodybuilding, and then engage shoppers to make sure you're targeting people who actually click on ads. Now, engage shoppers, we've tested this in ads in ad accounts I help on, and about 6 of them, and about 3 of them engaged shoppers work really well, and the other ones didn't. I think it's because of different niches. Different niches for some reason didn't work as well, but fitness, it has worked for me. So I hope that you learned something from that then. And these are principles that you can learn. So if you ever get stuck with your targeting or you don't understand what I'm saying, you haven't had an aha moment, it hasn't clicked in your head, that's okay. Just rewind this video by 10, 15 minutes, watch it again and take some notes, because I've just spilled a lot of information in a short amount of time. And a lot of you might already go, yeah, I know this, but I want you to really think about what I've just shown you, because it took me a long time to figure all this out. And I've tested thousands of different interests, and you'd be surprised. Interests can be so similar. One of them will give you 3x ROI, okay, so or 3x ROAs, and then the other one give you 1. So like the slightest tweak in targeting can make a huge difference, and it requires a lot of testing. So I'm just going to delete these now. And then I'm going to show you some more targeting, because I believe that all of you guys, most of you are in all different niches, and these won't be your niche, and you may not understand it just yet. So that's okay. Don't feel silly if you don't understand it, or you aren't understanding the concepts. I'm going to teach you some more. So let's say we're going to target camping. Let's pretend you have a camping store. Now, that's a huge broad interest, right? 109 million people, pretty much. Yeah? Now, the reason it's so broad is because look at it's taken that keyword from all these different interests. So broad. Okay? Now, I've never targeted camping, or I have, but not for a long, long time. And I don't have a camping store. So I'm doing this intentionally because I'm going to teach you as I go. Instead of me having insider knowledge, I'm going to try and teach you as I go, because then you can understand how it's not so hard. So, all right, let's think. Who do we think is the most passionate camping people? I would say mountaineering is pretty passionate. Can't even spell. There it is. Mountaineering. Okay, they sound pretty passionate to me. Okay, so if you don't know what mountaineering is, Google it and see what it is, but they're pretty passionate people. So you could do mountaineering, okay? And then you could narrow down. It could be hiking, okay? And then you've got all these different interests here, okay? Some pretty cool stuff there. You could even do this. You could even go hiking equipment. It's a smaller one, but look at the interest. See the audience? It's 12 million people. See the top right there? Now watch this when you narrow down to hiking equipment. 34,000. That's a bit small, that one. I would save that for another day. Okay, you don't want to go below 80,000 usually. It's probably in e-commerce. Otherwise, you've got no room to scale. Okay, and the expenses, your costs will be too high. So let's just go hiking and see how that goes. And then you could narrow further, and then you can gain shoppers. See some examples. So I hope you're getting the hint here, guys. So people that are in the outdoors, it's so broad. It could be people into forward driving, people that go camping once a year, people that just, liked or seen a camping magazine and liked the page once. It's so broad. But once you get into specifics like mountaineering and hiking and engage shoppers, it's going to target people who legitimately have a passion in it, okay? And then not only do they have a passion in it, but they also engage with ads. So they're responsive to Facebook ads. They're not people that just ignore them. So with this, you get higher click-throughs and usually higher sales, etc. Okay? All right. Now, if you're in the information space or you sell, trying to sell to business people, I'm going to teach you something that can work really well. So if you're trying to sell entrepreneur clothing or could be, wall art, like entrepreneur wall art, there's all different things people sell, right? There's so much on there. So this is stuff you can try. So you start with a name. And by the way, I've actually helped people do this selling other things. So I can definitely help you with this. So you start with the big person's name. Okay. He has 5.7 million likes on his page. Now then you'd narrow down. So he's an entrepreneur, and people who follow him are probably obviously entrepreneurs too. And then you can narrow it down to something like this. So if you're trying to target people who into Shopify, okay, to sell them your app or something like that, then you might go Shopify. So they've got to like Gary Vaynerchuk plus Shopify. So now you've got 10 million people. Okay, and then you might narrow further. Okay, so I want to target people who entrepreneurs, so they like Gary Vaynerchuk. They also like Shopify. And then how can I find people that are a bit more passionate? And this is how you do it. You can target people who are a Facebook page admin. Okay, so behaviors, that can be a bit expensive, that one, but I'm just giving you an example. So you can target not just entrepreneur keyword, but Gary Vaynerchuk, because most people that are passionate entrepreneurs, they do follow Gary. And then if you want to target people like Shopify, you just Shopify, and then page admins. Okay, so then you're getting people that legitimately have they probably have a business because they have a Facebook page. You're not targeting people that are just civilians, people in society that they like these pages, but they have no business. And if you're trying to sell to people at your app or something, or whatever, even an e-commerce product, you want to know, if it's business, you want to know like you're selling to business people. That's an example. All right, cool. I hope you guys are getting something from this. So remember that's flex targeting. I'm going to show you another example of what I've done before. So let's say you're selling in fishing niche. So fishing is a broad interest, and then you might narrow down. And I used to be into fishing, so I know all the brands, okay? But anybody on Facebook could have went fishing on a holiday, or it's really broad, really, really broad. So you want to go down, and now let's think of a brand. So Abu Garcia is a pretty big brand. Let's think of this. Oops. Abu Garcia. All right, so now we've got 500,000. So this is a good interest target to start. So you've got people who like fishing, but they also like a pretty common fishing brand. So these people legitimately go fishing all the time, or they have a deep interest in fishing. Okay, they know the brand. Once people know brand names within a niche, they're usually more enthusiastic, more passionate people. So the audience here is 520,000. It's not very big, but it could be a very good starting point. And if you wanted to, you could narrow it further and go engage shoppers. But if it goes too small, I would not suggest it. Okay. But I'm not running a rule. I don't like to have rules that's like, oh, you can't go a small audience. I'm not one of those idiots who does that, because believe it or not, sometimes starting with a small audience, you get sales and then you get pixel data and stuff. Then when you move to the bigger audiences, it works a lot better. Does that make sense? But you need remember this, you need big audience to scale big, but know what level you're at with the product and with your business. If you're starting off or you're testing something, narrow will probably work better. Okay? Remember, don't compare yourself to the guru who's saying, don't use any targeting. Don't be one of those idiots. Understand where you're at. Okay? And even if you've got a store with a lot of data and you're testing a new fishing product or something, go for, you can run a split test of broad versus in targeted, and there's no rule. Like, honestly, this is why I don't run by rules. Sometimes the more narrow audience will work better, and then sometimes the broad one will work better. You can't figure it out. Okay, that's why you can't be in a set mindset. You can't be stationary in this game. And one of the best examples of that is if you study war history. Now you're probably wondering what this has got to do with the business, and I want to explain why. Most principles that work in war, that work in any sport, okay, any martial art, same principles translate across everything in life. Everything from business to relationships to persuasion to sales to building. There's certain principles and fundamentals that don't change, okay? And one of them is this. If you want to be successful in life, if you want to do really good in business, if you want to be a great martial artist, if you want to win war, you cannot be predictable and stationary and run by rules. So rules and stuff are really important, okay? I'm gonna contradict myself a bit here. To a certain extent, they're important, okay? But there's sometimes you need to be flexible and adapt. And there's no set way to win a battle. There's no set way to make your ads perform best. There's no set way to make your business work. Why? Because if there was a proven system step by step, without one part that wasn't going to work 100%, so if everything worked perfect and you could follow it step by step without any problem, everybody would be rich and be a millionaire and have a business. It's not like that. It is so not straightforward. Okay? And the reason I'm teaching you this is because, for one, don't come up to me going, how much do I spend testing? Or how do I do this? And do I use a big or a small? I'm having a rant here because I get this all the time. And let me tell you this, don't restrict your thinking. If you feel like going that bit narrower to test your products, to get that first initial data of 20 sales or so, do it. If you feel like broad's going to work better, do that instead. Okay? But always split test. Remember this, marketers lie, data doesn't lie. People in these groups and stuff, I'm totally sick of them. Okay? I'm sick of all these people who are throwing their opinions around and lying about everything. They've got fake identities, fake screenshots. It's a bunch of crap. I'm opening the lid on this because I'm very passionate about telling the truth, and the truth is this. Okay, sorry to blab on, but the truth is this. You can't predict what's going to happen until you try it. And that's why if you can overcome this one little thing I'm going to teach you in your mindset, it's going to help you in your business tremendously. And I'll tell you what it is. Don't procrastinate. Don't sit there and ponder and wonder and try and predict. That's a loser's game. This is what losers do. They argue over what works better, broad or targeted. They argue over all this crap. Test it in your business. The data will tell you the truth. Okay? Always, always, always go over the data. Even if someone tells you, oh, but broad's working better, don't just do it. Okay? Do it, but split test against targeted and see what works better for you. Because 9 times out of 10, okay, let me tell you this, 90+% of the time, what works for me or what works for you in your business, okay, won't work for me in mine or won't work in yours. Now, the reason being is because there's so many variables. Like, you might be selling in the fishing niche, and I'm selling in the camping niche. You might be selling in Hong Kong and I'm selling in Sweden. There's so many variables, and think about how different people are in each country and each interest. So, like, think to yourself, how different are people who are into fishing? Like, think about the people who go drinking every weekend. They go out in their boat fishing and live for the weekend and go fishing. How different are those people, right, than people who go to the gym every day and eat healthy? Think about the contrast in personalities and habits and buying habits. Like, they are totally different people, right? So the way you sell them and target them and write to them on your ads and product, it's different. And then different countries, people speak different languages. It's totally different. So don't be stationary. Don't be one of those people that's robotic and only follows rules. Like, I hate rules. All right, I'm an eccentric person, and I've got to where I am in my life by not following the rules. Okay, I learn from other people, and I take a bit from everywhere or a bit from whatever, and then I test it myself. And if it doesn't work, I adjust it and test again. I'm not one of those people that gets taught by someone, tries it once and says it doesn't work. That's not how it works. Always test, okay, and then test for yourself. So don't just use laser targeting. Don't just use broad targeting. Test it yourself. Don't just use engaged shepherds. Test it for yourself. Okay? This is a really, really, really important lesson. I've taught thousands of people here, and you might be thinking, why are you going on about this, or why are you putting so much energy into it? I want to teach you this because every day it's a plague of problem I see. People who are speculating and pondering and crap. Do it. Just bloody get in there and do the work and test it yourself. Don't ever take someone else's word. Always do it yourself. You can't trust other people. Most people won't actually tell you what's working for them. They won't show you what interest or what product they're selling. Okay? They put you in a bump steer. So test it yourself, then read the data. All right, so on interests. Now, also, I always untick this box. Don't ever tick that. Okay? If you tick the box, it basically starts testing different audiences for you within the ad sets. It's just junk. So always unswitch that. Now, with placements, if you use automatic placements, Facebook's going to show your ads everywhere, and it's going to. I'll tell the truth. The first 3 days of your ads running, it will actually work better usually if you're using automatic placements. Okay. Now, what we've tested, and I've paid tens of thousands to learn from the best advertisers in the world, people who spend over $100,000 down Facebook ads. Okay, I've worked individually with them and learned from them one-on-one before, face-to-face, and they've all told me the same thing: split up devices. Okay, so we like to start with mobile only, and then we untick all the boxes. So Facebook is usually the best one to start with. So you untick. Okay, and then you just use Facebook. All right. Now, daily budget, I test on between $10 and $20 per day on a test ad, that is. If it's a winning ad, different story. Start on conversions. I don't like starting on link clicks. It doesn't really work well for me. Now, this is an interesting part here. 7 days after, I've actually found lately, guys, that 1 day after clicking works well. Not 1 day after clicking or viewing, but this one here. So what that usually means is it's going to show people the ad a day after they click on it, show it to them again. I don't like 7 day window anymore. It hasn't really worked well for me lately, so 1 day click. Continue. And then you go on to create your ad. So this is just an example, guys. I created this video because a lot of people they're stuck. They don't understand why they can't get sales. And I feel for people like that. And I also feel for people who have a good business and they aren't able to get their message out there to the world. All right. I think one of the biggest problems is that it's once again is about principles. You can't become a champion in a month. You cannot. We can't become champions in a year, guys. And the reason this is so important is because some people come into this with a they don't come in with a marathon mindset. They come with a sprinting mindset. Now, don't get me wrong. Some of my clients and students have got results extremely fast, like in a month, 2 months. But they usually have experience before in another business, or they're smart or something. Yeah. But for the majority of people, the best way that I can teach you is look, even me, and I know what I'm doing with a new business, it can take time sometimes, like months, before you get it working. Okay. So remember this. If you're experienced listening to me, this probably doesn't go to you. But if you're intermediate and everything else, remember this. This is a marathon. Like if you want to be a successful business person, you want to do this the rest of your life, you need to understand that this is a very long commitment. It's not going to happen overnight. You can't just become in and expect it to work straight away. It won't. So all these targeting and interests I'm showing you guys, you might need to test thousands of different things before you find yours. Probably not, but it could happen. But if you're only coming in and you're just testing 2 products, okay, and you're just going fishing, oh, I'm not getting sales, it's not working for me. Like you've lost the plot. It's not going to work. All right. So I want to show you some of the hustle that I've done and what I've learned. When I was selling, or I still am actually, when I was starting out selling in the fitness industry, I'll show you what I've tested. So see these interests here? There's so many of them. Yeah. I've tested every single fitness interest in the world on Facebook. Everything. Like individually, a split test. So think about how many tests that is. Like I've ran so many, like thousands and thousands. So don't come to me and tell me that you've tried when you've tried hardly anything, okay? You've got to dig deep on this. I'm sure most of you guys have done that, and I respect it, but if you're not one of those people yet, you've got to get in that lane of thinking. So I want to show you more. If you go exercise, physical exercise, that's a really good one, okay? All right, guys, so in regards to targeting, I hope this video helps you out a lot. Remember, there's flex targeting. Engaged shoppers is a really good one. I might actually show you a few more here, just as an example. So this is another one. If you're selling clothing, okay, so you might go fashion, showing in fashion. So this is a really cool one that has worked good for us in the past, is you can go online. Okay, so people who are into online shopping. That's another one. So some people who Facebook gets data on people that actually do like buying stuff online. That's another good one. Okay. So it doesn't always work. It isn't going to guarantee your sales, but often this has helped us tremendously. Like one of the products we sold, we could hardly sell it. And then I forget what the product was, but we basically tested running the main broad interest. I think it was either beauty or technology, I can't remember. And then we narrowed down with just online shopping, and it worked amazing. Okay, so it definitely can work well. Now I want to show you something else here, something I've tested, and bear with me, please. So, yeah, okay, so this is another good one. Early technology adapters. So people who adapt to new electronic trends earlier than other people. This is a golden nugget here, guys. I hope this helps you out. But once again, it doesn't mean that when you sell something from AliExpress it's electronic, it's going to sell. But if you have a true winner and you get in early, this right here can help you a lot. So this is Facebook's got data on people who legitimately get in on the trends early, etc., who like technology. Could be things like fidget spinners, could be things like selfie drones. These are examples, okay? Not saying they're going to sell for you, but that's early technology adapters. Okay, it's a behavior. Now, behaviors can be more expensive, but it's basically Facebook's got data on these sorts of people, and it doesn't always work, but it can work really well. I would go something like that, and then narrow down with could be drones if you're selling selfie drones, for example. Not really any drone thing, so you could just go consumer electronics. So consumer electronics is good to sell drones and other electric crap. It's basically just people who are big electronic consumers. Okay, very common, very simple. And then you could narrow further and go with engaged shoppers, for example. Okay, so now you're getting people who legitimately they're first on trends. They're susceptible to people who products that come out early in trends. Okay, they like consumer electronics, so they're right into iPhones, they're right into drones, they're right into all that sort of stuff, video games, etc. And then people who also respond well to ads, they click on ads regularly, and they might shop online. So you're sort of filtering through all the crap to get to the gold, the better people in the audience. All right, so I'm going to go through here, and I'm going to quickly teach you something. Just going to go back. Now, before we finish this video, okay, remember this is just an example ad account, guys. It's not an actual business we're using. It's just something my girlfriend started and doesn't really use. But I'm going to teach you something. It's a really simple thing. So before, when I spoke about running the different countries and the different age groups, you need to, I don't even know if this ad's had any data or not, ever, but I'll just go and look at it. It's never spent, okay? But basically on your ad, you would, pee off, go away. You need to, once you've run your ads for 2 days, don't bother reading the data until you've had sales. Okay, so don't be one of those impatient people that's going, it doesn't work, I've tested after a day. Don't be like that. Run your ads for a couple of days. If they're getting clicks and ads to carts, run for a few days. And then once you start getting data, you need to go through and look at your age. So this won't tell you because this ad hasn't had data, but on the ad sets that you're running, the one that I just showed you where you're running the big 5 plus Netherlands, so you want to see which age group is clicking and buying on your products, and then what gender, and then what country. Okay, so when you click on what country, it's going to tell you, hey Simon, the Netherlands is giving you X amount of sales and this much profit. So it's going to tell you which countries are selling the most and giving you the best profit. And then what you do, okay, is you basically want to run that for a while and maybe another few extra days, and then you can create new ads targeting individual countries. or leave that main one running, but start new ones targeting that one country. Because let's say that you're targeting the big five plus Netherlands, New Zealand, Australia, and the UK is not profitable for you, then you basically want to start new ads without those countries. Does that make sense? So remember this. Always, always, always read your breakdown. You need to know the age is buying, the gender. Sometimes 90% of your sales will come from man or female. So then you want to run ads specifically just for female if it's for female. Does that make sense? Country, you don't want to target countries that aren't profitable. So if you're spending $100 and you're only getting back $150 or $120 in, say, New Zealand, you don't want to run ads there, okay? Always stick to the profit. Back to that principle before. Where you're getting your gold from, where you're getting your money from, keep mining there. Don't try and branch out into countries that aren't giving you money back. If it doesn't give you money back, don't target there. So that's pretty much all you need to know. Is you mainly need to know this. Country, okay? Gender and age. They're the main breakdowns. And that's really simple data. You don't need to be very smart to do that. All right, guys, I hope this helps you out with your targeting and everything. Remember this. Target the big five plus Netherlands, okay? English speaking only. Use mobile placement on your ads. And basically understand whatever you're targeting. Try and look for the passionate people. Now, if you already have thousands of sales in purchase data, you can go really broad. You can make audiences with basically no targeting and succeed because you've got that data. But if you have under 500 or under 1,000 sales, etc., you need to put a lot of testing into interests. Okay, once you've had about, I would say, 100 add to carts, 50 to 100 add to carts, I would make a lookalike audience from add to cart and scale out. Lookalike audiences are your best profit. Interests are usually just to get it started. Okay, and once you start getting that good, pixel data and enough sales on your interest targeting, then you want to start to make lookalike audiences from add to carts, and then you don't want to make purchase lookalikes until you have about 1,000 plus sales, 600 to 1,000 plus in sales, customers. Sorry. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. Hope this helps you out.